Yeah, I'm David Blakely. I'm with Calidus Cloud, and this is a course that we put together for a client. It's called You Are Smarter Than You Think, and it's basically designed to help learners identify their personal learning style. And and this was targeted at college freshmen, so that as they enter college, they would be able to identify their own personal learning style and use strategies to enhance their learning. So, for example, they go through this course. Let me just bring this up from the bottom. And they're given various activities to go through. So they're given an auditory story, so they listen to a story being told to them. And then they're asked questions about that story to see how much they retained. Then they're given a visual story. So maybe it's text that they read or images that they look at, and then they're given questions about that story, again, to see how much they retain. And based on their performance, they're given recommendations on what style of learning it works best for them. And so once they identify themselves, for example, if they're a visual learner, they might be told to take pictures of the chalkboard or to make sure that they read the book. And if they're an auditory learner, they might be told to record the lecture. And so it's all designed to help them maximize their learning style and stay in school and perform well.
How are you licensing the software?
I believe this is licensed for schools. We don't sell it ourselves. We just created we created this course using Rapid Intake Authoring tool. But I believe it's licensed on a per user basis. And typically these courses are run through the standard learning management system.
And how difficult is to localize?
It shouldn't be too difficult. Because we use the Rapid Intake Authoring tool, you can actually localize just one file. There's a master XML file that contains all of the media callouts and all of the text and everything. You would need to reshoot the videos or redub the audio, but everything else can be modified in the XML.
And it's on cloud?
It is, yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the cloud?
Yes. It was authored in the cloud, and it's typically delivered on the cloud. But basically, it's downloaded as a zip file, and then you can upload it to your cloud-based learning management system or web server, however you want to deliver the course. And so basically, our instructor, college professor, Renee Mullen-Masters, developed with the help of psychometricians a series of activities and assessments that help identify learning styles. And so each participant is asked a series of initial questions to give an indication of what learning style works for them based on personality traits and past experiences. And then they're given actual activities to participate in that further enforces what style of learner they are. And then at the end of the course, they're given a pretty definitive idea of what learning style works best for them, and then given recommendations.
And do you have any measurements? What's the difference between matched styles and unmatched?
I don't have those statistics, but I know they exist, and so our instructor could probably help you out better with that. But yeah, the college retention rate is much higher for those students that have identified their learning style, that know that they're a visual learner, for example, and then can implement those styles of learning.
And what's the name of the professor?
Her name is Renee Mullen-Masters.
And it's from which university?
She's not associated with a university anymore, but she has a company called You Are Smarter Than You Think.
My name is Joe Polacchino, and I'm with QStream, and I'm demonstrating a QStream course that was written by our partner, Brain Studio. They teach a course in how to use your brain more efficiently for knowledge workers. They teach subjects like mind mapping, speed reading, memory techniques. And what they want to be sure of is that those people who go to their workshops, those learners, remember what they've learned after class is over. Because the research shows that in most cases, people go to a training event, within a month they've forgotten 80 to 90% of what they've learned. So the QStream platform is designed to encourage knowledge retention and reinforce the learning. And it's done through a methodology called spaced education, which was developed at Harvard Medical School. And it works by sending a question, answer, and explanation based on the learning content to the learner in a spaced repetition format. So you might get 20 questions every other day, repeated based on whether you answered them correctly or incorrectly over a couple month period. And that learning, because it's been repeated in a question-answer format, will tend now to be encoded in your long-term memory, and you will not have forgotten. And the way it works is very simple. The learner will see a page like this, and it can be on their laptop or on their mobile device. They'll say, okay, my next question for today is, what German scientists first proved that newly learned information quickly and steadily fades from memory, a phenomenon known as the forgetting curve. And you have your four choices here: Albert Einstein, Max Weber, Kurt Weill, and Hermann Ebbinghaus. Now I happen to know the answer is Hermann Ebbinghaus, and I submit my answer. It tells me that my answer was correct. It tells me that because it was correct, it's going to be resent again, usually in 21 days, to ensure that I've remembered it after 3 weeks. It gives me a score. I've scored some points here, which show up on my leaderboard. So there's a gamification aspect too, where you can have intrinsic motivation to stay with the questions because you're competing in a contest or a game. And best of all, down here, regardless of whether you got it right or wrong, you get an explanation of why the right answer is right, the wrong answers are wrong, and you can also include some additional content because now the learner his mind, her mind is open to this particular subject. They're concentrated on this learning point. So it's a good time, it's a learning moment to give them some additional training and content, not only to reinforce what they already learned, but maybe some new information as well. And embedded in the answer, this can be a graphic, it can be a video, it can be a link to another website. So you can use this as a launching point for a lot of additional learning.
It's very interesting forgetting curve, because most of their rhetorics here how to teach, but nobody measures after results. It's quite new for their mLearning ecosystem. Can you tell a little bit about this one?
Yes.
About this forgetting curve?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so cool. It's coming from. Tell a little bit this forgetting curve. How you measuring?
Yeah. So here, normally you would forget at this rate, right? But with spaced repetition, it reinforces the learning at key points, so that the knowledge now is encoded in long-term memory. Because eventually it stays with you, but only through repetition.
I'm Imogen Caseborn. I'm Director of Learning at EPIC. So we're an international e-learning and mobile learning company. The course I'm showing here is it's interesting. It's a course that was created for the UK government, and it was created as an e-learning course to be taken on a PC, to be taken on some quite low-spec browsers, Internet Explorer 6. It's highly accessible. And they found that people were in their leadership and management program, people who are really busy. This is a course about decision making. It's about how unconscious bias can affect your decision making. And they really like this course. It's been very popular. But people wanted to be able to access it on tablets and smartphones as well as on the PC. They requested it. People were coming and grabbing it, wanting to get it. They're busy people. They're on the move. They're on trains. So they really wanted to be able to get this content on their tablets and on their smartphones, and that's Apple, Android and BlackBerry devices, tablets and smartphones. So they wanted to make it compatible for all of those devices. So what we've used here is a form of multi-device design, so that you've got the same course and the same functionality across all of the devices. And it's a mobile web app, so it tracks back to their learning management system, so that they can bookmark, they can come back to where they were. It's chunked up into really quite short little pieces, so they can do a little chunk here and there in found time, then go back to their go back to the course next time they have a moment, and it's tracking back and appearing on their accreditation. So you can see here it's after you meet the tiger and decide what you want to do with the tiger, it's taking the concept of how we react quickly and make snap decisions, and then relating this to people in the workplace, so you can decide who you'd like to work with. I don't know. Would you like to pick a person?
Myself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who would you like to work with? Yeah. This guy here. Okay, so yeah, it's saying, okay, so why did you choose the person? You know, is it based on anything in particular? Was it a gut decision? Did they remind you of someone you know and like? So it's getting you to think about your decision-making process. You can see it does the same thing here. Feedback pops up in a slightly different way on the smartphone, so it's optimized for the smartphone. And then it sort of goes in and explains how some of this works. It's got a question here to test your understanding.
Do you have the platform developed, or it's how it's connecting to the LMS?
Okay, so it's a mobile web app, so it's a SCORM app, so it's using SCORM just as it would do if it was e-learning. Are you running out of oh, you're good there. So yeah, so it's using SCORM. So it's tracking in quite a similar way that SCORM would. So it needs to be online to send the scores back, but it can save them until it next gets a connection if it loses connectivity.
How difficult to localize?
So you mean for other languages?
Yes.
It's quite easy. We can pull the text out of the tool that we use and translate it and then put it back in. So we've localized quite a lot of courses. So it's not that difficult. I mean, obviously you need to do the translation, but once you've done that, it's pretty straightforward.
My name is Rob Stevens. I am the Vice President for Allegro Learning Solutions. We're a custom learning provider. The tool that we have here was initially morphed out of, there's a free app called Legato you can get on the Apple App Store that basically allows individuals to go through, answer some different questions in that, and eventually it gives a recommendation around, here's kind of the delivery mechanism that we would require. Now our client wasn't so interested from a training side, but they saw the potential in the tool and said, what we'd like to do is we want to tailor that for our problem. And the business problem that they had was, how do we demonstrate our international capabilities to our clients? They're in the, Beeline is in the contingent workforce kind of technology space. How do companies hire contractors, pay them, take care of them? And they had a wide range of people, from client service reps all the way to people that were going to build the solution. So at one end, the tool simply allows someone to do a basic presentation around Beeline's capabilities. In the middle of it, it allows someone to go into a particular country, say Belgium, and go ahead and talk specifically about Belgium. And part of the key on this tool is that the data is separate from the user experience. So every time it's pulling data, it's pulling it uniquely. Like for instance, most of this data are around economic trends in Belgium, and it's pulled from the World Bank data. The third level in this gets into, okay, I want to really get into a detailed conversation with the client, and we're going to go ahead and actually get into some of the key data around how much do they spend and how many hiring managers and all that, so that at the end of the day, after I put in some data, the tool can go back and make some recommendations around, these are countries where you're going to be most successful, these are some of the Beeline products that we would recommend in those countries. Okay? And then part of the crowdsourcing piece that we mentioned here is that we're paying attention to how users are using the tool. We're obviously capturing all the data so that we can look at it for all countries, for a specific industry, a specific country. And then there's an admin tool behind the scenes that allows subject matter experts to go in and say, here, let's update. These are the top 5 things that Beeline can do in a particular country. And so it all is kind of morphed out of a basic assessment tool leveraging the back end so that I can get very specific around, in this case, Beeline's particular needs.
What's a licensing model for this software? Or
we built a custom solution for Beeline. This is just an internal Beeline tool. The Legato tool itself, this is a free tool out on the internet store, so there is no licensing. Anyone at this point can go out and get it. At some point down the road, do we build more modules? Do we have some? For now, it's a free tool that people can go out and get. And our hope is that people look at this and they go, I'd like to modify it for my situation like Beeline did. They want to have something that's around,
personalization.
Their internet, so that we build something that's specifically for a company. And potentially there's hybrids in between where we would partner with an organization, build something, and put it in more of a licensing potential model. So lots of possibility. We've built the back end. We built the tool to be able to rapidly go from, these are my questions, this is my information, this is the solution I'm trying to get to.
Okay, my name is Vasanti. I'm the President for Business Development for Origin Learning. We are a vendor organization and we kind of create content services for our clients, and we also provide platforms if they need for mobile ready content. That's very briefly about us, and what we have done here is this is called situated learning, and in situated learning what we have done is we believe that maximum learning happens while you are in the context and you are actually applying and you need to learn. There is a pressure on you to learn the content. That's when maximum learning happens and maximum retention happens. So that is briefly about what we are doing today, and what I'm going to show you is a demo that we kind of created. Did this for GE Transportation, and what we have done for them is they wanted job aids that are more visual and for shop floor people. So that kind of has all the requirements. It has assembly, disassembly. It will give them all the important information that anybody on the shop floor would need. So that was a key thing. So what we did,
Schematic
just give me a second.
Show me some of the installations.
This is augmented reality. While I just wait for my tablet, I can just show you this augmented reality.
You can stop and you can step by step.
And how do you do this? How do you bring it to this point?
The 3D modeling is done by us, and the programming is done by us. It's basically the whole package.
Just give me a second.
So the 3D modeling is done on kind of 3D schematic.
So this is like assuming there is a component there, and then you would like to learn about the component. What we do is we have the AR application, which is the augmented reality application. That kind of.
It is right away. I mean, we haven't had anybody asking us for iOS. They asked us
this
for
AR
solution.
application is developed by you.
Yeah.
We gave them an Android solution. iOS definitely has
So
a
I
solution.
kind of enable the
Android
AR
per se
application,
doesn't support NFC chip.
and then all that I have to do
So you get something
is
like
kind
this,
of
which is
focus,
all normal, and put it on the phone.
and then it will show you how it actually works.
It's on Unity.
Yeah, it's on Unity 3D. We have used the 3D is on Unity. We have
We have
created.
the 3D model.
So there's a lot of interaction.
Can you show me a little bit
So this
for
is
me
we
more
are doing it
visual
for the
stuff?
e-learning course
Because I do recording.
just the programming and the developing and the packaging bit took us about 6 weeks. The modeling is extra. Depending on the modeling,
Okay.
it might take a couple of weeks or 3 weeks.
So that's for augmented reality.
It's possible to put your own stuff.
The 3D models,
Yeah.
we can just take the
Or just developer can do it, or can teacher can do it, or not.
Okay, so this is a little difficult to do because they can point at any angle, so you have to kind of take a lot of pictures and stitch it together and put that information. But this probably is a better technology. So let me just explain this to you. Assume that you are a shop floor person and you are working on a water pump and you want to know how the assembly and disassembly of the water pump is being done. So all that they have to do is they can either take their own device, which is NFC enabled, and just tap it on this, and it kind of activates the module, and you can click on it and it will tell you the complete assembly and disassembly of how the work, how it is done.
That's best.
And you can see part numbers.
All right.
You can see the product specification. You can do inventory. You can check on inventory. You can also check on courses, the video modules. You can also check on videos. It will open the videos out of the LMS. So you have all the resources that you need regarding water pump in one place, and so he can refer to whatever he wants. And all this is done by the trigger of this sticker, which is the near field communications NFC stickers. They cost you like 10 cents each, and the programming of these takes like less than 15 minutes. And we can also use them for classroom training, for example. You can kind of use, assume that an instructor or lecturers have used some videos when they are taking classes, and you can hand out the student manuals to them. When they go back, they cannot kind of recall what was it that they saw in videos. All that you have to do is put these NFC stickers here and enable this. And it will kind of open those videos for them, which they can use back when they are, checking back on the student manuals.
Okay. Now, the question is, it's similar to augmented reality, but it's we have some electronic tagging.
Yeah, it is programmed chips, and that is a lot of graphic work. But this is just all the programming is done on the chips, and then it just picks it up.
What kind of software you need for a receiver?
So you have those NFC apps. You can just download on Android devices, and if you're using iPad or iPhone, you can just use the Flow Jack. It's an attachment that will kind of read up all the NFC devices.
This situated, can you explore a little bit about situated learning?
Okay, so situated learning assumes that a person learns very well, when he is in the context, and is also applying the knowledge that he is learning. So that is the concept of situated learning. I was in a session this afternoon, and one of the things that I saw is there is 70-20-10 learning principle, which kinds of says 70% of your knowledge retention or learning happens on the job, 20% happens as feedback, and 10% actually happens from courses or from reading. So what we created are these job aids, which are visual, which are very helpful and available on the job for people to use. And this is a very new field, but is really got a lot of applications. What we have done is we have seen how we can use this technology for training.
Are you working with some university or?
No, we run our own organization. It's called Origin Learning, and we are doing it for our corporate customers.
And you are coming from?
India. I have an office in Georgia, Atlanta, and my development team works out of India.